Why wait when we're already ready? All right, good morning. First of all, I would like to thank you all. Am I too loud? Because that's why I don't use the mic. All right, first of all, I would like to thank you all for being here. You all look very nice and presentable. I'm thanking you for being open to doing this within education because it's actually needed, and it's needed for any aspect. One in life, any other classes, you can do this. Of course, it's helping with your speaking, your reading, your writing. Basically, it's covering all grounds. I ask when you get up here to do the best that you can do. Remember I said I was going to throw a curveball today. As long as you participate, do the best you can do, you receive all of your points. Now remember, your peers, though, get to decide if the affirmative will win or if the negative will win. From that, then the winning team receives the additional 5 points. All right? Remember, the structure or the terms we're using are for the Toolman essay. Again, because you might need that within education. And then what I will do from the back of the room as we are recording, first up, affirmative. Please present your warrant. You have 5 minutes. I will actually announce you each time. Now, if you hit 5 minutes and go over, I'll say time. Okay? Any questions? Okay. Well, if you go over your time, I will stop you. If there's not too much over, I'll still let you speak because I want you all to get your information across, okay? You okay, Unique? Because I understand what the content you have, and it's good. I think you will meet your time frame. You'll be fine.
So if we don't that part, just stop and let you...
Once you finish your part, go ahead and sit down. Even if you have 2 back-to-back parts, just sit down from the back of the room. I will call the next up and let you know the time frame. Okay. Any questions? All right, so affirmative. For our first debate, we have the Declaration of Independence. Affirmative first. Can you all please stand so we know who you are? Okay, thank you. You may have a seat. For the negative, can you please stand so we know who you are? Okay, thank you. All right, so first up for the Declaration of Independence, affirmative is the warrant. You have 5 minutes.
Morning. We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. These words from the Declaration of Independence were some of the first words on this important document, but also the first steps to a new government. On July 4th, 1776, Thomas Jefferson, Benjamin Franklin, John Adams, and the rest of the 13 colonies took this first step out of courage and hope for a better future. On that day, when the colonies came to sign the Declaration of Independence, the picture that they had in mind for their future, their children's future, and all who carry on their family name, is also the picture we are here to paint for you today. That picture is that we needed the Declaration of Independence in order to give America a chance of freedom, a chance to have democracy, and to be a gateway to give anyone a chance at freedom, no matter how rich, poor, their education status, nationality, or race.
All right, thank you. Next, for affirmative, you have the grounds. You have up to 4 minutes.
Good morning. Freedom is the power or right to act, speak, or think as one wants without hesitation. The colonists wanted freedom because they wanted the rights that shouldn't have been taken away from them in the first place. Those rights are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The colonists also wanted a chance to have democracy. Democracy means that people can take part in their own decisions that will affect the way the community is being run. Democracy is very important in the world because it provides people to have an opportunity to voice their opinion and vote for what they believe in. America gives people a chance to experience freedom and express their nationality or race, religion, and etc. No matter how poor, rich, young, or smart, or educated we are, all not under one person rules. And we will have the freedom to think for ourselves and to put the people's need first. Under Great Britain's rule, none of these choices were made for ourselves. If we didn't declare independence, we wouldn't remain as puppets or to a blindsided, power-hungry puppeteer.
Thank you. For affirmative, next we have the claim. You have up to 4 minutes.
Good morning. The Declaration of Independence was America's first formal statement by the nation's people, asserting their rights to choose their own government, gain independence from Great Britain, and allow people to experience this freedom with them. This legal document announced to the world the reason that led to the 13 colonies to separate from the British Empire. The Declaration of Independence was not only legal but practical too. It signifies some of the principles and ideas of the Founding Fathers, which the government of the United States still follows today.
All right, for the negative, you have backing. You have up to 5 minutes.
Our backing for this debate involves the Declaration of Independence and how it does not give the equalization for all people that it claims to give. Thomas Jefferson was the main author of the Declaration of Independence. This famous document symbolizes that all men are created equal and that they are provided with the unalienable rights, which include life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The most famous line in this historical document reads, "We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal." The Declaration of Independence failed to include that not all men are created equal because during the making of this document, African Americans, Hispanics, and men of other races were not treated the same as white men. The equality in this document is exclusively applied to white men. So why does it make sense to state in this document that all men are created equal? The second issue in this document is that the rights of women were not included because women did not have rights at the time of the making of this document. But now in 2019, women have more rights. So why was the Declaration not revised because of this issue? In 1776, when the Declaration of Independence was being written, Abigail Adams wrote to her husband, John Adams, and she asked him to remember the ladies when he was working to establish the country's new laws. Lastly, this document did not include all 50 states. The Declaration favored most of the southeast and northeast states. The states that signed this document include New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Connecticut, New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Delaware, Maryland, Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia. If there were only 15 out of the 50 states that signed this document, then why was it passed? What if the rest of the states did not agree to all the decisions in this document? Furthermore, our group is not in favor of the Declaration of Independence because of the flaws it still has today. It is a big controversy in America, even though it was created 144 years ago from our founding fathers.
Thank you. For negative, you have the warrant, 5 minutes.
Good morning. The Declaration of Independence states that all men are created equal and that they are provided with rights such as life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. All men are not created equal due to the fact that after the Declaration of Independence was signed, slavery was still going on in some states. The Declaration of Independence was written by Thomas Jefferson. Jefferson expressed in the document American complaints and reasons why colonists wanted independence from Great Britain. Jefferson also wrote that all men should be created equal Yet at the time, more than 500,000 African Americans were enslaved, along with Native Americans being degraded as savages who stood in the way of westward expansion. Like women and Black people, Native Americans were not allowed to vote in the first 100 years of the United States government. The man who wrote the Constitution thought that Native Americans belonged to one group. Along Native Americans men did not get the right to vote until 1889. 12 out of the 18 presidents that signed the document owned slaves, including the author, Thomas Jefferson. It took 87 more years after the Civil War and after the Emancipation Proclamation and the 13th Amendment to end slavery. Women were denied property rights, lacked the ability to vote, and could not make or enter a legal contract. In colonial America, women were pushed to the sidelines as dependents of men. Married women were under control of their husbands. Women were treated as second-class citizens after the Declaration of Independence was created. It took 72 years to establish women's rights by law. The document gave false hope to many Americans in the fact that they hoped to one day be free and have the rights that they described. Furthermore, the Declaration of Independence is false because of this information.
Okay, next would be the grounds. Negative, you have up to 4 minutes.
The Declaration of Independence was created by Thomas Jefferson in 1776. It was co-signed by over 50 members of the Congress and made, people may know the Declaration of Independence for freeing the 13 colonies from Britain and equality. This document stated that all men are created equal. Even though he stated all men are created equal, he owned slaves. Thomas Jefferson knew that owning slaves was wrong, but he continued a plantation that held over 600 slaves. Even though he wanted to free slaves, he didn't believe blacks in a white society was worth. Jefferson quoted, "Black men's existence appears to participate in more of a sensation than reflection." Throughout his life, if all men were created equal, why did he own so many? And when he died, why did he only free 7? Jefferson also never wanted to give voting rights to women or blacks. Jefferson never included women in the Declaration of Independence because at the time, women did not have the same equal rights as men. While Jefferson constantly wrote, women should not be in politics, many people don't even realize that in the eyes of the law, women are not equal. Every year, there are tons of bills introduced that attempt to limit women's rights.
Next, for the negative, you have the qualifier. You have up to 3 minutes.
Our group is not in favor of the Declarations of Independence because of the lack of support for all men to really be equal, the lack of rights for women, and the lack of rights for freedom for everybody. As the Declaration of Independence states that all men are created equal, why were men of color treated differently than white men? Forbes says, when the architects of our republic and our republics wrote the magnificent words of the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence, they were signing a promissory note to which every American was to fall here. This note was to make a promise that all men, white or black, would be guaranteed the unalienable rights from history. We know that this is not true. Although declarations were signed, many African Americans were still enslaved, and those who were not still did not get their unalienable rights that they were promised. We can all agree that not every man in the country should be as equal as the rest of the men. Those who do not abide by the law and respect others should not have the same equalization as the men who follow the law and has not done anything disowning. When Thomas Jefferson and those who helped him draft the Declarations of Independence described the new order among the 13 colonies of the new United States, they did not include women. Women were denied the property rights, lacked the ability to vote, and could not make or enter a legal contract. Due to the information in the Declarations of Independence being faulty and not all Americans getting their promised rights, the Declarations of Independence should be revised to grant everybody their unalienable rights.
All right, last but not least for the negative, you have your claim. You have up to 4 minutes.
The United States declared its freedom from the British on July 4th, 1776. But the Aspen Institute says America's black population did not receive their freedom in 1776. It took 87 years and a bloody war for the majority of African Americans to gain their unalienable rights. But although all of America's white men got their unalienable rights as soon as this document was signed, Thomas Jefferson owned 607 men, women, and children throughout his life, yet he still signed the document that was supposed to allow everyone to have their freedom. The year is now 2019, 239 years since the Declaration of Independence was signed. All of the men in the United States still do not have all of their equalization that they deserve. Furthermore, this document excludes other men such as Hispanics, American Indians, French, and Asians, and men of other races that were not given their unalienable rights according to the U.S. Census. Historians have estimated that there were 6 to 7 million slaves that were imported into the New World in the 18th century. And we all know that in 1776, when the Declaration of Independence was being written, that not all men were created equal and were free. Ever since we started writing history, women were never as equal as men. When coming to America, nothing changed until brave women took the step forward for change. Before women finally got their rights, a lot of them were controlled by their husbands. They did not have legal claim to any money, nor did they have the right to earn money. Women were mocked in the press for the idea of them having the right to vote. Women did not get the right to vote until August 18, 1920, 144 years after the Declaration of Independence was created. 144 years is a long time for women to have the right to vote, own land, and have control over themselves. The National Women's Suffrage Association, or the NWSA, was founded in 1869 to advocate for a constitutional amendment ensuring women's rights to vote. According to the Encyclopedia Britannica, Susan B. Anthony and Elizabeth Cady Stanley founded this association in New York in 1869. The movement gave priority to securing women's rights to vote. In conclusion, this group is against the Declaration of Independence due to the lack of freedom for women, equalization, and freedom. The Declaration of Independence should be revised to meet all the needs of today's society and to help better this country as a whole. Thank you.
All right, next, we have the affirmative with the backing. You have up to 5 minutes.
The Declaration of Independence has a lasting effect on many important events throughout America's and the world's history. Without it, where would the world as we know it would be today? Abraham Lincoln was greatly influenced by the Declaration of Independence. By writing the Emancipation Proclamation, because he took this line straight from the Declaration of Independence, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. In doing this, Abraham Lincoln put America's back on his road and is holding America to his word about treating all men equal. The Bill of Rights is also heavily influenced by the Declaration of Independence, because while the Declaration was asking for independence from Great Britain, the Bill of Rights was giving specific laws, rules, and regulations based off of what the colonies were lacking under Great Britain's rule. Not only has the Declaration of Independence only influenced America, but the entire world. The French Declaration of the Rights of Men and Citizens, and the Declaration of Independence for the Democratic Republic of Vietnam also used the Declaration of Independence as a guideline to set their countries up for success. The first article of the French Declaration of the Rights, Men and Citizens, is, men are born and remain free and equal in rights. Social distinction may be founded only upon the general good, is restating the core values of the Declaration of Independence and restating its influence on the world, changing it for the better.
Next, for the affirmative then, we have the warrant. You have up to 5 minutes.
Thomas Jefferson, John Adams, and Benjamin Franklin, and the 13 colonists signed the Declaration of Independence, and understanding that people would and can have life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. This document was to become a hope for the people of America and a light unto the future generation. These men came together to declare independence from Great Britain. Without those words of our founding father's right that we were always meant to have, would have never come to light, leaving America in a dark and unknown future.
Okay, last but not least, for the affirmative, we have the rebuttal. You have up until 5 minutes.
We, therefore, the representatives of the United States of America and General Congress assembled, appealing to the Supreme Judge of the world for the rectitude of our intention, do in the name and by the authority of the good people of these colonies, solemnly publish and declare that these united colonies are and of right ought to be free and independent states, that they are absolved from all allegiance to the British Crown, and that all political connections between them and the state of Great Britain is ought and totally dissolved, and that as free and independent states have the full power to levy war, conclude peace, contract alliances, establish commerce, and to do all other acts and things which the independent states may of right do. And for support of this declaration, with a firm reliance on the protection of divine providence, we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. In these last words of the Declaration of Independence, the 13 colonies have now severed all ties with Great Britain. They will now be identified as an independent country. And these words show that they were willing to put their lives down and everything they held dear to declare independence. And they did so in the American Revolutionary War. They did this to give their children and their grandchildren a better future, to remain true to these 3 points: that America can have a chance at freedom, America can have a chance at democracy, and to become a bridge to freedom for all who seek it.
All right, you all can hear me, correct? All right, one, I would like to say I'm proud of all of you. I know it's been a task and a challenge thus far for the 2 groups that have gone. I'm proud of you in your research as well. When you speak, I want you all to work on being confident. So reading and looking up and looking out. And as of right now, you notice I'm not using the mic. So work on projecting your voice. But I'm proud of the 2 groups that have gone. With that said, your peers, and you have to be honest, get to vote. Who is more persuasive for you? If you are for the affirmative, stand. You gotta vote, yeah. They're the affirmative. Go ahead and stand for me. 1, 2, 5, 6, 7. All right, 7. If you are for the negative, please stand. You can't be for both. 1, 2. Brenda's leaving. I'll take that as a 4. Okay, so 7 to 4, please. For the negative, do not think that you all did not do well, because you did. You presented your information well. Everybody presented their information well. With that said, then, the affirmative team has taken the big W. It's hard because you both were good. If I have to pick one team, I will go with negative. And I will tell you, would you like to know why though? When they presented their information, they honed in on letting you know it wasn't about the 50 states, Thomas Jefferson, how about slavery and the slaves. That information caught me also with it being, I guess, tied to Virginia. But that was the aspect that got me from the back. Matter of fact, let's ask our guest. For you, who would you have voted for?
Affirmative.
Affirmative. Okay, so there you go. Okay. Good job. All right, we'll take a 15-minute break. So that'll be 10:45. We will resume. Okay? And I will cut the camera for this break.